The taxi dropped me at my front door on a Tuesday morning. 7 months overseas, 7 months in a medical unit, 7 months dreaming about coming home to Aaron and the kids. But the silver Lexus in my driveway wasn't mine. I stood on the porch, duffel bag over my shoulder, key halfway to the lock. Through the window, I saw a man in expensive clothes pouring coffee in my kitchen. My kitchen. Using my favorite mug, the one Aaron bought me for our anniversary. The door opened before I could turn the key. "Alex?" Erin's voice was flat, cold, like she was greeting a stranger. Behind her stood the man from the kitchen, tall, graying temples, surgeon's hands. He placed his palm on Erin's shoulder in a gesture that made me furious. "We need to talk," she said. I dropped my bag. "Who is this?" "Colton Reeves," the man said, extending his hand. "Erin's husband." The words hit like shrapnel. I stared at Erin. "Husband?" She stepped aside, letting me into my own house. The walls were different colors, new furniture, pictures of my kids, but with Colton and family photos where I should be. "You signed the papers," Erin said. Her voice carried that clinical tone she used at the hospital. "We assumed you weren't coming back." "What papers?" Colton reached into a briefcase. Professional, efficient, he handed me a manila folder. "Divorce decree, dated 3 months ago. Your signature's right there." I flipped through the documents. Official letterhead, notary stamps, and there, at the bottom of each page, my signature. Perfect forgeries. "I never signed these." Erin crossed her arms. "The stress of deployment affects memory." Colton explained that to me. "It's common. I'm a combat medic, not an amnesiac." Colton stepped forward. "Alex, I understand this is difficult, but legally, you and Erin are divorced. She and I were married last month. The children have adjusted well to the transition." That's when I noticed it. The kids' backpacks by the door had name tags reading Tommy Reeves and Sarah Reeves, my children, carrying another man's name. "Where are they?" "School," Erin said. "They'll be home at 3:30. I checked my watch. Noon, 3.5 hours to process this nightmare. "I need to see those documents again." Colton handed over the folder. I studied every page. The signatures were perfect. Too perfect. No one signs their name identically across multiple documents. These were digital copies, traced, forged. "I'll be staying in a hotel tonight," I said quietly. Erin's expression softened for a split second. "Alex, I know this is hard, but we've moved on. The kids have moved on. Don't make this ugly." I shouldered my bag. Nothing ugly about it. Just need time to process. But as I walked to my rental car, one thought crystallized in my mind. You made the wrong enemy. The Hampton Inn lobby buzzed with afternoon business travelers. I sat in a corner booth, documents spread across the table. My old friend Claire Monroe, former JAG attorney, now civilian lawyer, studied each page through reading glasses. "These are good," she said. "Really good. But they're forgeries." "How can you tell?" "The notary stamp." She pointed to a small circular mark. "This notary's license expired 2 years ago. Whoever forged these pulled an old template." My phone rang. Erin's number. "Alex, where are you? The kids want to see you. I'll pick them up from school tomorrow." "That's not... Colton thinks it's better if we supervise the first meeting, for their emotional well-being." I hung up. Claire set down the papers. "Alex, I can file an emergency motion to nullify this fraudulent divorce, but I need evidence of forgery beyond just the notary issue. Give me 48 hours. "What are you planning?" "Intelligence gathering." That evening, I parked across from my house. Erin's shift at Metro General ended at 11. Through surveillance binocs, military issue, I watched Colton make dinner for my kids. He moved through my kitchen like he owned it. At 11:47 p.m., Erin's Honda pulled into the driveway. She kissed Colton at the door. Long, passionate. The kind of kiss that spoke of months, not weeks. I started taking notes. Day 2, I followed Colton to his medical office, except the building was condemned. A notice on the door read, "Dr. Colton Reeves, medical license revoked. Patient complaints investigation." Interesting. Day 3, I interviewed Erin's colleagues at Metro General. Nurse supervisor Patricia Wong was particularly chatty. "Oh, Dr. Reeves?" Erin fought hard to keep that investigation quiet. Signed his exit evaluation herself. Glowing review, despite the circumstances. "What circumstances?" "Inappropriate conduct with female patients. Multiple complaints." Erin convinced them not to file formal charges if he resigned quietly. The pieces clicked. Aaron had protected Colton, made him indebted, controllable. Day 4. I installed microcameras around my house. Military-grade surveillance equipment acquired through old contacts. If they were living in my home illegally, I wanted documentation. Day 5. The cameras paid off. Audio recording of Aaron and Colton in the kitchen. How long before he figures out the papers are fake? Colton's voice. He won't. Alex trusts institutions. Military types always do. What if he hires a lawyer? With what money? His accounts are frozen pending the divorce settlement. My accounts. Frozen. I checked my phone. Bank alerts going back 3 months. Assets locked by court order based on forged paperwork. That night I called Claire. Emergency filing. Tomorrow morning. The courtroom smelled like old wood and stale coffee. Judge Martinez presided, a no-nonsense woman with steel gray hair. Aaron sat beside a court-appointed attorney looking confident. Colton wasn't present. Smart move. Claire stood. Your Honor, my client's divorce was filed fraudulently. Mr. Barrett was serving overseas and never signed these documents. Aaron's lawyer objected. The papers are notarized and legally filed. Mr. Barrett had every opportunity to contest. While he was treating wounded soldiers in a combat zone? Claire's voice cut like a blade. With no internet access for weeks at a time? I handed Claire a manila envelope. She opened it. Your Honor, we've discovered evidence of a broader conspiracy. Mrs. Reeves, used hospital computer systems to access confidential military records. The defendant also forged power of attorney documents to access veterans' benefits illegally. The judge leaned forward. Explain. Claire spread documents across the table. Hospital login records show Mrs. Reeves accessed files for 17 deployed soldiers, all married, all with substantial benefits. She and Dr. Reeves were planning to replicate this scheme multiple times. Aaron's face went white. The judge studied the evidence. Mrs. Reeves, did you use your hospital credentials to access military personnel files? I needed to verify Alex's deployment status for the divorce. 17 times for 17 different soldiers? Silence. Mrs. Reeves, I'm ordering an immediate investigation into these allegations. Mr. Barrett, your divorce is hereby nullified, pending criminal proceedings. All assets are unfrozen. Custody of the minor children returns to you immediately. Aaron shot to her feet. You can't do this. Those kids have been living with Colton for months. He's their father figure now. He's a fraud, I said quietly. And so are you. Outside the courthouse, Aaron cornered me by my rental car. How could you do this to me, to us? I protected you while you were gone. Protected me? You stole my identity, sold my kids to a con artist. Call that protection? Colton loves them. He's been more of a father than you ever... Colton lost his medical license for inappropriate conduct with patients. You helped cover it up. That's not love, that's conspiracy. Her composure cracked. Tears started flowing. Alex, please, we can work this out. I made mistakes, but you made choices. Now live with them. I drove away, leaving her sobbing in the courthouse parking lot. 2 weeks later, federal agents arrested Colton at a coffee shop. He was meeting with another military spouse, wife of a deployed Navy SEAL. The FBI had been monitoring his communications since Claire filed our evidence. Aaron lost her nursing license the same day. Hospital administrators fired her immediately. HIPAA violations, patient confidentiality breaches, criminal conspiracy. I picked up Tommy and Sarah from school in my truck. They were confused at first. Months of Colton's influence had muddied their understanding. Where's Daddy Colton? Sarah asked. He's gone, sweetheart. It's just us now. Are you really our daddy? The question hit harder than any combat injury. Yes, baby, I've always been your daddy, and I'm never leaving again. 6 months later, I sat in my new apartment across town. Clean, simple, military precise. The kids' drawings covered the refrigerator, stick figures of our family. No Colton. No Aaron. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Please let me see them. I know I made mistakes. They're still my children, too. E. I deleted it without responding. Another text arrived. The federal prosecutor wants me to testify against Colton. If I cooperate, they'll reduce my sentence. I need your help. Delete. Alex, I still love you. What we had was real. Please answer me. Delete. The doorbell rang. Tommy and Sarah ran to answer. Through the peephole, I saw a woman in an orange jumpsuit flanked by 2 guards. Aaron, fresh from county lockup. Kids, go to your rooms. But Daddy, now. I opened the door but kept the chain locked. You're not supposed to be here. Supervised visitation. Court order. She held up papers. 20 minutes. The guard nodded. Sir, we need to comply with the judge's directive. I let them in. Erin looked thin, tired. Her skin had that gray pallor common to inmates. Tommy, Sarah. She dropped to her knees as they ran to her. Mommy missed you so much. They hugged her, confused but happy. I watched from the kitchen, arms crossed. Daddy says you went away, Tommy said. I did, baby. Mommy made some bad choices. But I'm going to fix them. When are you coming home? Erin's eyes met mine over Tommy's head. I don't know, sweetheart. That's up to your father. No, I said firmly. That's up to the courts, and the federal prosecutor, and the victims whose lives you destroyed. The guard checked his watch. 10 more minutes. Erin stood, approaching me. Alex, I know you hate me. I deserve that. But think about what's best for Tommy and Sarah. They need their mother. They needed their mother 7 months ago. Instead, they got a felon. I was protecting them, protecting our future. You were gone and I didn't know if you were coming back. Colton offered stability. Colton offered you control. Over him, over me, over our kids. That's what this was really about. Her mask slipped. The tears stopped. For a moment, I saw the real Erin, calculating, manipulative, hungry for power. You think you're so righteous, she hissed. Mr. Perfect Soldier, but you abandoned us. For 7 months, I was a single mother. I did what I had to do. You committed fraud, identity theft, conspiracy, child endangerment. You want to call that survival? Time's up, the guard announced. Erin kissed Tommy and Sarah goodbye. They clung to her, sensing something final in the moment. Be good for Daddy, she whispered. Mommy loves you. After they left, Sarah asked, why was Mommy wearing those orange clothes? Because she made bad choices, baby. And sometimes, bad choices have consequences. That night, after the kids fell asleep, I sat at my desk reviewing legal documents. Erin's sentencing hearing was next week. The prosecutor expected 18 months federal time, plus restitution to other victims. Colton got 36 months. His medical license was permanently revoked. He'd also face civil lawsuits from the families he'd targeted. My phone rang. Claire's number. Alex, I wanted to give you a heads up. Erin's attorney is requesting supervised visitation rights post-release. Can they do that? She's still their biological mother. Courts generally favor maintaining parental contact unless there's evidence of direct harm to the children. She forged my identity, stole my kids, sold them to a predator. That's not harm? Emotional trauma? Yes, but not physical offense. A judge might grant limited supervised contact. I set down the phone, stared at the kids' drawings on the refrigerator. Tommy had drawn our new apartment. Sarah had drawn me in my military uniform with the words, "My hero daddy," in purple crayon. Erin would keep fighting, keep manipulating, keep trying to worm back into their lives. Not acceptable. The next morning, I made a series of phone calls. Old military contacts, intelligence specialists, people who owed me favors from our overseas deployments. By noon, I had what I needed. Colton's medical misconduct ran deeper than anyone suspected. Multiple states, multiple victims, some cases involving minors. Evidence that certain law enforcement agencies had overlooked due to jurisdictional complications. I compiled everything into a comprehensive dossier. Then I contacted the FBI agent handling Erin's case. Agent Patterson, this is Alex Barrett. I have additional evidence regarding Dr. Reeves, information that might interest federal prosecutors. The meeting took place in a sterile conference room at the FBI field office. Agent Patterson, a sharp woman in her 40s, reviewed my dossier with growing interest. Mr. Barrett, where did you obtain these records? Veterans Network. People talk. Information flows. Some of these cases were sealed by courts in other states. Whistleblowers, concerned citizens, people who want justice. She studied me carefully. Mr. Barrett, are you seeking revenge against your ex-wife? I'm seeking protection for my children and justice for other victims. Because what you're describing, Dr. Reeves has allegedly committed serious crimes across multiple jurisdictions. If this information is accurate, he's looking at significant additional federal time. And my ex-wife? If she was aware of these other activities, conspiracy charges could be enhanced significantly. I leaned back in my chair. Agent Patterson, my children deserve a stable life. They deserve protection from people who would exploit military families. Whatever you need from me to ensure that happens, you have it. 2 days later, Colton was rearrested on expanded federal charges. The news reported allegations spanning 4 states and involving dozens of victims. Military families, vulnerable spouses of deployed service members. Aaron's attorney requested an emergency meeting. Your client was aware of Dr. Reeves's broader activities, Claire stated during the negotiation. Hospital records show she accessed victim files going back 2 years. Aaron's lawyer looked sick. My client maintains she only accessed files related to her husband's deployment status. 23 files, 23 different soldiers, all deployed, all with substantial benefits. The room fell silent. What do you want? Aaron's attorney finally asked. Claire slid a document across the table. Full relinquishment of parental rights, no visitation. No contact with the minor children. In exchange, the enhanced conspiracy charges get dropped. You can't ask her to give up her children. She already did, I said quietly. When she chose Colton over them. When she chose fraud over truth. When she chose control over love. Aaron's sentencing hearing was held in federal court downtown. Media packed the gallery. The story had captured national attention. Military spouses defrauded by medical con artist. Veterans' families targeted while soldiers served overseas. Judge Harrison was a former military officer himself. He reviewed the case with particular attention to the impact on military families. Mrs. Barrett, defendant's legal name remains Barrett despite the fraudulent marriage. The court finds your actions particularly egregious given the vulnerability of the victims. Military spouses sacrifice tremendously. They deserve protection, not exploitation. Aaron stood for sentencing. She wore a conservative suit, hair pulled back, trying to look respectable. But her hands shook. 36 months federal incarceration, full restitution to all identified victims, permanent relinquishment of parental rights to minor children Barrett, no contact orders with all victims' families. Aaron collapsed into her chair. Her attorney caught her arm. Furthermore, the judge continued, the defendant will register as a fraud offender upon release. Any future contact with military families or veteran services will constitute violation of federal probation. As the bailiff led her away, Aaron looked back at me. Her eyes held no tears this time, just cold hatred. This isn't over, she mouthed. I smiled. Yes, it is. 6 months into her sentence, I received an envelope with no return address. Inside, a handwritten letter. Alex, I know you orchestrated everything. The FBI evidence, the expanded charges. You destroyed my life systematically like a military operation. You turned me into the villain while playing the heroic veteran. But I know who you really are now. Cold, calculating, ruthless. You got your revenge. I hope it was worth it. Yeah, I read it twice. Then I struck a match and held it to the corner. The paper curled and blackened, turning to ash in my kitchen sink. Tommy wandered in, rubbing sleepy eyes. Daddy, what are you doing? Just cleaning up some old paperwork, buddy. Was it about mommy? No, son. It was about someone who used to pretend to be your mommy, but she's gone now. It's just us. He hugged my leg. Good. I like it being just us. 1 year later, I stood in the backyard of our new house watching Tommy and Sarah play on the swing set. Clean suburban neighborhood, good schools, safe environment. My phone buzzed. Text from Claire. Aaron filed an appeal claiming prosecutorial misconduct, says evidence was obtained illegally, wants sentence reduced and parental rights restored. I typed back. Let her try. The evidence against Colton and Aaron was solid. Multiple sources, multiple agencies, multiple victims willing to testify. Even if some information came through unofficial channels, the core case was bulletproof. But I had contingency plans. I walked inside to my home office, locked filing cabinet. Inside, folders labeled Operation Homefront Phase 2. If Aaron wanted to keep fighting, I was prepared for war. The first folder contained detailed financial records showing Aaron's gambling obsession, hidden debts she'd accumulated before my deployment, evidence that her initial affair with Colton was motivated by desperate need for money to pay loan sharks. The second folder contained psychological evaluations from court-appointed therapists. Aaron showed patterns of antisocial behavior, lack of empathy, narcissistic personality traits. The third folder contained communications between Aaron and other inmates, discussions about getting revenge on me once released, plans to regain custody through manipulation and false allegations. I closed the cabinet, locked it, let her appeal. Let her fight. Let her try every legal maneuver her attorney can think of. I had spent 7 months in combat zones learning to outthink enemies who wanted to destroy everything I cared about. Aaron was just another hostile combatant, and I always completed the mission. That evening, I tucked Tommy and Sarah into bed, read them stories, kissed their foreheads. "Daddy?" Sarah asked. "Are you ever going away again?" "No, baby. Daddy's staying right here, forever." "Promise?" "I promise." I turned off their lights and walked downstairs, poured a drink, sat on the couch, staring at family photos on the mantel. Pictures of my real family, me and the kids. No Aaron, no Colton, no lies. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Alex Barrett?" "Speaking. This is Warden Thompson at Federal Correctional Institution, Danbury. I'm calling about an incident involving inmate Barrett. She was found unconscious in her cell this evening." My heart stopped. She's alive. Apparent overconsumption. Pills smuggled in somehow. She's stable now, but there may have been some brain damage from oxygen deprivation." "I see. Mr. Barrett, she listed you as emergency contact. We need someone to make medical decisions if she's incapacitated." I looked at the photos on the mantel. Tommy's gap-toothed grin, Sarah's pigtails, my children safe and happy. "Warden Thompson, Aaron Barrett relinquished all parental rights. She's not my responsibility anymore. Contact her parents." "Sir, her parents are deceased. You're the only—" "Then contact the state. I'm not involved in her medical care." I hung up. 10 minutes later, the phone rang again. Different number. "Mr. Barrett, this is Dr. Lawson at Danbury Federal Medical Center. Your ex-wife is asking to see you. She says it's urgent." "I have a no-contact order." "Sir, she may not survive the night. If there's anything she needs to tell you—" "Doctor, whatever Aaron thinks she needs to say, she can tell the prison chaplain. Good night." I turned off my phone. 2 days later, Claire called with news. Aaron's appeal was denied. No grounds for prosecutorial misconduct. But Alex, there's something else. She tried to take her own life in prison. I heard she's asking to see the kids. Claims she wants to say goodbye. No. Alex, I have to advise you. If she dies and the kids find out later that you prevented a final meeting, it could cause psychological issues. Claire, my kids think their mother was a woman who loved them. They don't know about the fraud, the conspiracy, the federal charges. They think mommy went away because she made bad choices. That's all they need to know. But if she dies, then we tell them mommy got sick and went to heaven. Clean, simple, no trauma. Jesus, Alex, you really have thought of everything. I'm a soldier, Claire. Soldiers plan for every contingency. Aaron survived. Brain damage was minimal. She'd spend the rest of her sentence in the prison medical facility, but she'd recover. I felt nothing when I heard the news. No relief, no disappointment, just empty acknowledgement. The woman I'd once loved was gone. Had been gone for years, probably. What remained was just a shell that looked like her. 3 years later, I stood at Tommy's Little League game watching him pitch. Sarah sat beside me, drawing pictures of the players. Normal kids. Happy kids. Stable kids. A woman approached our bleacher, thin, pale, wearing sunglasses despite the cloudy day. Alex. I looked up. Aaron, released early for good behavior. What do you want? To see my children. You don't have children. You relinquished all parental rights. She sat down uninvited. Tommy was warming up on the mound, focused on his throwing. He looks just like you, she said softly. Don't. I've been thinking a lot in prison about us, about what I did. You were right. I was trying to control everything. But Alex, I was scared. You were gone, and I didn't know how to handle being alone. So you committed fraud. I made mistakes, but those kids still carry my DNA. I gave birth to them. You can't erase that. Sarah looked up from her drawing. She stared at Aaron with curiosity, but no recognition. Daddy? Who's that lady? Nobody important, sweetheart. Aaron's composure cracked. Nobody important? I'm their mother. People in nearby bleachers turned to look. I stood up. You're an ex-convict with a restraining order. If you don't leave immediately, I'm calling the police. They have a right to know me. They have a right to safety, stability. You're a threat to both. Tommy struck out the batter. He looked over at us, smiling proudly. His gaze lingered on Aaron for a moment, confusion crossing his face. Daddy, he called out, Everything okay? I waved. You're doing great, son. Aaron stood up slowly. This isn't over, Alex. A mother's bond with her children is sacred, legal or not. Is that a threat? It's a promise. She walked away. I watched her get into a rusted sedan and drive off. That night, I made another phone call to Agent Patterson. Alex, I thought your case was closed. My ex-wife violated her no-contact order today, showed up at my son's baseball game, made verbal threats. We'll look into it. But Alex, she served her time. Unless she commits new crimes, just document it. For the record. The next morning, I found my car tires slashed. Security cameras showed a figure in dark clothing approaching around 3 a.m. Face obscured, but the body shape was unmistakably female. I called the police, filed a report, added it to the documentation. Day 2, someone tried to break into our house while I was at work. Alarm system scared them off, but they damaged the front door. Day 3, Sarah's school called. A woman claiming to be her mother tried to pick her up during lunch. School policy required ID and pre-authorization. When they refused, the woman became agitated and left. I installed additional security, motion sensors, panic buttons, upgraded the alarm system. Day 4, I found Aaron waiting by my truck in the grocery store parking lot. Alex, please. Just 5 minutes, let me explain. Stay away from my family. Our family, Tommy and Sarah, are mine too. Legally, they're not. Biologically, doesn't matter. Courts decided you're unfit. Courts can be wrong. Juries can't. And you'd face a jury if you keep violating restraining orders. You think you've won everything, don't you? Turn me into the villain while you played perfect father? I didn't turn you into anything. I just stopped enabling your destructive choices. She stepped closer. I could smell cigarettes and cheap perfume. I know what you did, how you orchestrated my arrest, fed information to the FBI, manipulated evidence. I provided facts. Law enforcement drew conclusions. You destroyed my life. You destroyed your own life. I just documented it. She pulled something from her purse, a small digital recorder. I've been recording our conversations, building evidence that you manipulated federal investigations, violated my civil rights. I smiled. Go ahead. Submit that to your appeal attorney. See how far it gets you. What do you mean? Aaron, I'm a combat veteran with exemplary service record. You're a convicted felon with multiple fraud charges. Which of us do you think a jury will believe? Her hand shook as she put the recorder away. Besides, I continued, threatening me while violating a restraining order isn't smart legal strategy. I'm not threatening you. No? Then what would you call showing up at my son's game, slashing my tires, trying to abduct my daughter from school? I would never hurt them. You already did. When you chose Colton over them, when you stole their father's identity, when you sold their stability for your own gratification. Tears started flowing, the manipulative kind, designed to generate sympathy. Alex, I know I made mistakes, but I've paid for them. 3 years in federal prison. I lost everything. My career, my freedom, my children. When is enough enough? When you stop being a threat to my family. I'm not a threat. I'm their mother. You're a felon with antisocial personality disorder who has demonstrated willingness to harm children for personal gain. That's the clinical definition of a threat. She stared at me. For a moment, the mask dropped completely. I saw the real Aaron, cold, calculating, devoid of genuine emotion. You've thought of everything, haven't you? She said quietly. Every angle, every contingency, yes. What happens now? Now you disappear. Permanently. Move to another state, start over, stay away from us. And if I don't, then I finish what you started. That night, I sat in my office reviewing legal options. Restraining order violations were misdemeanors. Unless Aaron escalated to direct violence, law enforcement couldn't do much. But I had other resources. I opened my laptop, typed a series of encrypted messages to old military contacts. People who understood the importance of protecting families from hostile actors. Within hours, I had responses. Alex, heard you're having civilian security issues. Happy to provide consultation. Williams. Barrett, your situation is noted. We'll monitor developments. Ghost Team 6. Bro, word is you need Overwatch. We got you covered. Rodriguez. I smiled. Once you served with people in combat, certain bonds never broke. We'd protected each other overseas. That protection extended to families stateside. The harassment continued for 2 weeks. Anonymous phone calls, drive-by surveillance, small acts of vandalism. Then it stopped. Completely. I didn't hear from Aaron for 3 months. Then Claire called. Alex, I have strange news. Aaron was arrested in Nevada. Attempted identity theft of another military spouse. Same pattern? Exactly the same. Forged power of attorney. Fraudulent divorce filing. She targeted a Marine's wife while he was deployed. How'd they catch her? FBI had her flagged. The moment she accessed military records, alerts went off. They arrested her during the notary meeting. I leaned back in my chair. What's her sentence looking like? With her prior federal conviction? 15 to 20 years, under habitual offender statutes. So she's done. Unless she wins an appeal, yes. Alex, there's something else. When they searched her apartment, they found surveillance photos of your house, your kids' school, your routine. She'd been planning something. I felt a chill. Planning what? Unknown. But there were also blueprints of your house. Security system manuals, photos of you and the kids at various locations. Send me copies of everything. Alex, this is evidence in an active federal case. Send me copies. That evening, I studied the surveillance photos. Aaron had been watching us for months, learning our patterns, identifying vulnerabilities. The blueprint showed detailed knowledge of our house layout, security camera blind spots, entry and exit routes. She hadn't been planning reconciliation. She'd been planning abduction. I called my contacts. Williams, it's Barrett. That consultation you offered, I need it now. 2 days later, I received a manila envelope with no return address. Inside, a single photograph. Aaron in her Nevada jail cell, unconscious, red spreading under her head, a handwritten note on the back, problem solved. A friend. I stared at the photo for a long time, felt nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction, just completion. My phone rang. Claire's number. Alex, I have news about Aaron's Nevada case. She's gone. Silence. Who told you? What's the official story? Apparent accident. She fell in her cell, hit her head on the concrete edge of her bunk. Brain hemorrhage. Investigation? Routine, no signs of foul play. Prison medical examiner ruled it accidental death. Good. Alex, are you okay? I'm fine, Claire. My kids are safe. That's all that matters. But she was still their mother. No, she was their biological contributor. A mother protects her children. Aaron endangered them. I hung up. That weekend, Tommy asked about Aaron for the first time in years. Daddy, whatever happened to that lady who said she was our mommy? We were fishing at the lake. Sarah was building sandcastles nearby. She got very sick, son, and she's no longer with us. Was she really our mommy? She gave birth to you and Sarah. But being a mother is more than biology. It's about love, protection, sacrifice. She couldn't do those things because she was too sick. Do you miss her? I thought about it. The woman I'd married, the woman I'd thought I'd married, had never really existed. She'd been a performance, a carefully constructed fiction. I miss who I thought she was, I said finally. But that person was never real. Tommy nodded solemnly. Then he got a bite on his fishing line and forgot all about Aaron. 5 years later, I stood in the backyard watching Tommy practice football with his teammates. Sarah was starting high school, honor roll student, debate team captain. They were good kids, strong kids. They'd grown up without the toxicity Aaron would have brought into their lives. Sometimes late at night, I wondered if I'd made the right choices. If maybe there'd been another way, a path that didn't require destroying someone completely. But then I'd remember the surveillance photos, the blueprints, the evidence that Aaron had been planning to abduct my children. And I'd remember that some threats require permanent solutions. My phone buzzed, text from an unknown number. Mr. Barrett, this is Jennifer Walsh, investigative reporter with Channel 7 News. I'm researching military family fraud cases from 2018 to 2020. Would you be willing to discuss your experience with the Colton Reeves scandal? I deleted the message without responding. The story was over. The threat was neutralized. My children were safe. Mission accomplished. I walked inside, locked the door behind me, and began preparing dinner for my family.